Welcome home to St. Anne's. We want you to know that you're welcome to join us at 10 a.m. on Sundays. Please be sure to hit subscribe to receive our sermons. We can't wait to meet you.
All right. Well, so, Sandra, sorry for that super long reading. I feel like you need water and deep breaths. Woo! All right. I just love that story because it's super fun and entertaining. So I'm not going to preach about it, but I just love it because those stories are so fun, frankly. And when you get to dive into that history, it's a really cool history. And it's because it's an oral tradition. And so they're just good stories to listen to. Remember, everything in the Old Testament is really written to be told sitting around a campfire. So, you know, when you go to the pub with your buddy and you're telling stories, that's the Old Testament. They're these fantastic stories that are just really cool to listen to. Don't worry too much about technical details, okay? Don't worry about technical details. That was never the point. The point is the story of who we are as a people and where we come from. All right, so set that one aside just because I think it's a cool story, and I feel like I have to acknowledge the fact that you literally had to read for 15 minutes. So let's talk about our gospel today, because I think that's a really cool story. I think it speaks to us really strongly today when we're willing to take the time to dive in there and figure out what's going on. So I want to start with this, because I think we clean up the Bible a lot, and so we don't put all the emotion and the feeling in there that is there. So let's start with the disciples are angry, okay? So here's kind of what happens. They've been doing their teaching thing, and Jesus is like, hey, let's sail to the other side. And they're like, yeah, sure, cool. And he takes a nap. You've all been with that person, right? It's usually me, who is like, hey, do you need any help? Like, literally half an hour after you finished the job. And I'm like, hey, I'll help. No, it's good, Meg. We finished. Oh, okay, perfect timing. That's Jesus. So they're all like rowing and taking care of things, and he's like, I'm really tired, guys. So he takes a nap. And a storm blows up because that's pretty common in this area, that like you might be sailing and and things are fine, and then a storm will blow up. In fact, we were just at the Great Lakes, and Lake Superior is known for this. One of the reasons that it's such a deadly lake is you think everything's fine, and you go out there, and then a huge storm blows in. That's kind of pretty common in this area too. And a huge storm blows up, and they're like, ooh, this is bad, because their boats are not really made for storms. I don't know how much you know about sailing culture at this time, but kind of deadly, very deadly. And Jesus is sleeping. He's asleep. Can you understand why they might be a little irritated? Yeah, Jesus is taking a nap, and we're all dying around him. So we say things like, oh, Jesus, don't you? No, they're mad. They're angry. So I want you to hear their frustration and their anger and what they say to him. Do you not even care? Like, they're being sarcastic. Seriously, dude. Like, you could get up. You could do something. You could man a sail or two. I don't know. Do something. I don't call on God, who supposedly is your big daddy, but you're taking a nap, and we're dying. Anyone ever feel like God is asleep on the job? If you don't nod your head and be like, yep, I've been there, you're lying. Talk to me later. We've all been in that moment where like, God is asleep on the job, and we're mad. We're mad about it because we're like, okay, hey, God, devoted my whole life to you for this. Hey, God, been praying, know the Lord's Prayer since I was 3. Where are you? Because we're getting swamped in this boat over here, and you're where? We've all been there, right? And I think it's really important that we're there, that we are honest about that, because sometimes what can happen in Christianity is we love platitudes. We are the people of the platitude. God needed another angel. It was meant to be this way. God wanted it this way. And you're like, oh, hell no. Nope. And one of my favorite quotes is from Mother Teresa, and she says, I know that God will never give me more than I can handle. I just wish God didn't trust me so much. Because the next time somebody comes to you and says, God will never give you more than you can handle, you feel free to punch them in the face. Because we've all had moments where we are given more than we can handle. Can we just be honest about that as a Christian people? I think it's really important that we're honest about that. Because the reason for that platitudes is not because it's theologically accurate, but because it makes us feel more comfortable. Because nothing makes us more uncomfortable than other people's true feelings. Because that gives us anxiety. And we're like, ooh, too many feels. God need another angel. God won't give you more than you can handle. You just got to pray about it. You just got to pray it out. Pray it out. Let's be real. That is not true. That is all about our stuff. And so I want us to acknowledge that the disciples are angry, and they have a right to feel angry. What I think is really cool is that Jesus recognizes their anger for what it is. Because anger is actually an umbrella feeling. Anger is never true anger. Anger is an umbrella feeling for other things that we don't feel safe feeling. You might feel sad, but it's not safe to feel sad in our culture. So you feel angry. You feel righteous anger. And what Jesus knows right now is that they feel fear. And we also don't feel safe feeling fear because fear means weakness, right? And you and I do not like to feel fear. So we feel angry. We project anger on the thing that we think is the most convenient thing. Have you ever noticed that you're most likely to feel anger and rage for somebody you love the most? Every parent here has been on the receiving end of your kid's anger, right? They have a bad day at school and they come home and they're just like, rah! And you're like, what is going on? Oh, somebody wouldn't play with me at recess today. And you're like, well, that had nothing to do with what I made for dinner. We've all done it to our loved ones, our spouse, significant other. We've all done it, right? Because we feel safe with those people. So we can feel anger, we can feel sadness, we can feel all those things in that safe place. So if your kids or your spouse has ever raged at you, feel flattered. They love you and they feel safe with you. Hey-o. You're like, great. You're like, yes. So nice to be loved. But Jesus recognizes their anger for what it is. They're afraid. They are afraid. And you and I have to learn to be okay with our fears and our sadness and our sense of betrayal, our sense of rejection, all those things that the disciples feel right now, but they don't feel safe feeling those things. Jesus says, are you afraid? Are you afraid? And if you're afraid, let's talk about that. Let's talk about what you fear, because you and I are really good at feeling angry. I'm really good at anger. You wouldn't think so because I'm 5'4" and 110 pounds sopping wet, but I'm really good at feeling angry. I'm not good at being afraid of things. Because fear is a sense of lack of control, right? And that's what the disciples feel right now. They have no control. Things are happening around them and they can't stop them. They can't control that. And that is scary. And it is okay to be afraid of things. It is okay for us to feel scared about a world that is changing around us and we don't know what to do with that. It is okay to feel fear that the church is changing around us and we don't know what to do with that. Our culture is changing around us and we don't know what to do with that. Our families are shifting and changing around us and we're not sure what to do with that. Our jobs are changing. COVID has changed everything and we're scared. And that's okay. You're not angry about wearing a mask. You are afraid of the world around you. And that's okay. And we need to hear that it's okay to be afraid. Because the fear isn't the problem. The feelings that we feel are never the problem. It's what we do with them. Racism and bigotry and hate come out of fear that has been refused to be acknowledged. Hate happens because we're afraid of things going on around us and we're not sure what to do with that, so we're angry about it instead. And we're angry about things, we do things that we probably shouldn't do sometimes. We behave towards people that we love in ways that we shouldn't. We behave towards other humans, God's creation, in ways that we shouldn't. Because you and I can't say, I'm scared. I don't know what to do with this. I don't feel like I have control over what's happening in my world, and I'm scared. So when God comes to us and says, are you afraid? Are you afraid that I'm going to leave you? Are you afraid that I'm sleeping on the job? We need to be able to say, yeah, I am. I'm scared. I feel like I don't have any control about the world. I don't control myself. I don't know what to do. I'm afraid, and I'm sad, and I'm scared. Can you and I say those things? Can we say them? Because when we can be honest about that, God shows up and we can do something with that. We can do something with our fear. As a community, we can come together and love one another and carry one another through fear and scared and change and sad. Anger rejects and pushes away. Anger is meant to isolate. That is why it's there. It pushes away the things that we're afraid of. Anger has no place in community because we can't love one another when we're angry. We cannot care for one another when we're isolated. So I beg you today, be okay with the sad and the scared and the unsure, the lack of control. It's okay. It's okay, because here's the thing. God isn't sleeping on the job. I promise you. God is not sleeping on the job. And yes, we all have more than we can handle. 100%. 100% we have more than we can handle. But 100% we do not have more than we can handle together. Together, when we call on God as a community, one another together, there is nothing that we can't weather. There is nothing that we can't weather together. I promise you. So, peace, be still. Peace, be still. Reach out to one another, and be okay. You will not find safety in anger. The world will not find safety in anger. But we will find one another in scared and uncertain and worried and lack of control.
We want you to know that you're welcome to join us at 10 a.m. on Sundays. Please be sure to hit subscribe to receive our sermons. We can't wait to meet you.